Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Ma'am, we will just start in a minute.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Hello. Good evening, everyone. I hope I'm audible. Hello, ma'am. I am
Yes.
Rajshekar, the moderator for today's webinar, and would like to extend a very warm welcome to every participant and especially the esteemed speaker for the day, Astha, ma'am.
Thank you so
Before we
much.
begin today's webinar, I would like to speak a few words about our organization, the Social Nexus Foundation. Our foundation is a registered non-profit organization which works for the social upliftment. This includes providing education to children and women while also spreading legal and social awareness to foster a feeling of inclusivity and empowerment. We are committed to deliver on our objective, and for this, we indulge in various awareness programs, which ranges from providing books, clothes, and foods to children and women. Our main objective is to provide education, both legal and social awareness, along with legal aid to the needy ones on a pro bono basis. We represent the weaker section of the society and are dedicated towards their development. In quest for the same, the organization has organized this webinar on the topic Challenges Faced During Matrimonial Litigation and hope to spread awareness regarding this issue. Now, let me please introduce you all to our very esteemed guest speaker for the day, Asta ma'am. Ma'am is a third generation lawyer who has an excellent and an in depth experience of working at various chambers, law firms in and around the Delhi NCR. She is also skilled at advisory and litigation, which ranges from civil, IBC, family, and succession matters to even the matrimonial issues. As of today, ma'am is impaneled with leading companies and institutions across India. It's really a pleasure to have you speak before us today, ma'am. Now, ma'am, I may please request you to kindly address our audience.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the introduction. Very sweet of you. And I just want to pick up one thing from your introduction, and that says your organization, which I am a part of it as well, works to spread awareness, both legal and social. And that is why I have kept today's webinar's topic challenges faced during matrimonial litigation. Well, I can always tell you that when you go to court, these are the challenges you face. But because I have tried to keep it both the legal challenges faced as well as majorly the social challenges faced, right? Now, first of all, let's understand when we say matrimonial litigation, what is the first thing that comes to our mind? I would like even the audience members to just write it down in the chat box. That will be better. We can keep it interactive, right? It is divorce. When we say matrimonial litigation, the first thing that pops in our mind is divorce, which is not wrong. Everything around it is linked to that very term. But to understand it, let's break it down. Matrimony and litigation. It consists of two words. So while in common parlance, when we say matrimonial litigation, it is divorce. But when we say it in specific words, it can be anything, any kind of litigation that is around a matrimonial couple. It can start with the our own very favorite divorce, but then the couple can also think that let's stay separately, but let's not dissolve the legal ties. So they may go for a judicial separation. Then one of the spouse may want the other back. They may file for a restitution of conjugal rights. Then the biggest victims of this litigation, children. There is child custody. There is a maintenance case, right? There is a domestic violence case. There's so many aspects to a matrimonial litigation. But when a client will come to you, the client will plainly and simply come and tell you, मुझे इसके साथ नहीं रहना, or I want to stay separately. Nobody will come out and tell you कि हमें ये specific relief चाहिए. वो एज अ लॉयर आपको ढूंढना है कि आप उसको क्या रिलीफ प्रॉमिस कर सकते हो और क्या रिलीफ दिलवा सकते हो, और क्या आपको दिलवाना चाहिए कंसिडरिंग उनकी फैमिली में बच्चे हैं या नहीं, पेरेंट्स इन्वॉल्व है या नहीं, एक्चुअली पार्टीज में डिस्प्यूट है या नहीं. सो दिस इज द बैकग्राउंड. Now let's come to the very topic, challenges faced during matrimonial litigation. Now, litigation in itself has a lot of challenges. We know that litigation is infamous for being very expensive. It is said that even the party who wins actually loses because they have lost so much of money. So even if they get something in return, they've lost. There is no win. Then we are infamous for litigation is infamous for being extremely time consuming. In civil cases, it is also said that when a grandfather files for a relief, wants a relief, the grandchild gets the relief, right? So this, of course, all this is true for the matrimonial litigation as well. But there have to be some challenges which are exclusive and peculiar to matrimonial litigation, which is not true for other forms of litigation. So in matrimonial litigation, one thing we know that the parties were once in love with each other. Most of them were once upon a time in love with each other, and they were each other's closest confidants. So they know each other extremely well, and they were formerly in love, and now they hate each other in most cases. And we know both love and hate are extreme emotions. Please highlight the term emotions, because that brings us to the first challenge we as lawyers and parties also face, and that is emotional volatility of the client. In a matrimonial litigation, egos are ruffled and emotions run extremely high. And that is where I would say the job of a lawyer comes in the situation. According to me, the toughest job of a matrimonial lawyer is to handle the client's emotional volatility. There are some times when the client will come to you, approach you that they want a divorce, and they will come to your chamber and you'll sit with the client, and the client will talk to you for 1 hour straight. And out of that 1 hour, there is maximum to maximum 5 minutes of relevant information that you'll get. And that is also if you're lucky. In some cases, if the cause of action has just arisen, the client will come to you, and for the first 1 or 2 or 3 meetings, the client will come, try to talk, and just keep on crying. The client will cry, cry, cry. So, one thing, tissues are our best friend. Please do have them. So, emotional volatility of the client will try to steer the case according to how the client wants it. Now, the role of you as matrimonial lawyers comes, the client is emotional, the lawyer is not. And I would say the lawyer need not be. It is the same as a doctor trying to operate on somebody the doctor is interested in. The operation won't go through. So the lawyer has to maintain a third party approach. You have to take the bird's eye view. I'll tell you why. Because there may be one particular instance that the client is telling you about, and the client may, on two different occasions, tell you the same instance from two different perspectives. Why? Because the emotions at that very moment are governing his thought. There may also be cases where the client will not tell you the entire story. The client will only tell you he did this or she did that, or he said this or she said that. What you have to do is maneuver the client to make the client talk to you and tell you the entire story and not just their emotional state. So, in short, you have to extract the facts of the case from the client despite the client being vulnerable, and you cannot plainly and simply tell the client that cut this out, I just want the facts. So you have to handle both the client's emotions and also the client's case facts. That is the first challenge that we are talking of, right? Then once you are you have taken all the facts and you have made your case. Now what happens is the client is emotional again. So the other party comes to the client, says something. The client will come to you and say, no, 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 now I don't want a divorce only. I want this relief also. Say, I want maintenance also. Or say, I want to file this case also. Or I want my child's custody also. My child is not safe. So you were ready with your paperwork. You were ready to go to court, and the client just changed the brief. Why did this happen? He was running through the emotions. So the relief of the client also will keep on changing. That's a huge challenge. So you have to understand the what the client wants. You also have to understand what the client needs. And you have to tell the client very peacefully, tactfully, that this is what you need and this is what we are going to get you through. Right? That is, I would say, the most challenging part of matrimonial litigation. Bringing the client to the surface level and making him understand that this is what a third party perspective tells us. Now, suppose you've handled all that, you are ready with your case. Now you go to court. Now you don't only win with your story being ready or your client being on your side. You need evidences. Unlike other cases where you have a trail of evidences ready, like suppose it was a contract, so you had something in paperwork. If it was some other criminal case or some other civil case, you had gone to somebody's house, there would be travel records. You have talked to somebody on phone, there would be phone records. But in this case, two parties are living in the same house. They are not traveling to each other's apartments. They are not talking on phone majority of times. And whatever is happening is happening in the confines of the house. Where do you get the evidence for that? That becomes an issue. That is why somewhere we see that the courts also accept circumstantial evidences also, or in maybe domestic violence cases, they if your story and your clients, especially if it is the girl, in cross examination she is able to maintain that story and she doesn't break, then the courts take that. Why? Because the courts understand that something if happens in a family, it actually we are being brought up to understand that it should stay in the family. Even the neighbors will also not be very good witnesses because they will not testify. So where do you get the evidence? Is it possible? Uh, can we say that you will not get the evidence at all? No. We will get evidence. We can get WhatsApp conversations. We can get telephonic conversations, which we call electronic records. We can get, if you are talking of maybe what we domestic violence or a dowry, I would say a dowry case. What we do is sit with the client, look at the wedding photographs, and find what was given, what was taken. If you have a child custody case, and suppose you are the father and the mother has is saying that you're not a responsible parent, so we have your photographs with the child. The child will be told to choose between the two. The child will also tell. Then there are maybe call recordings. So all these evidences can be there, or I would say we can start collecting evidences. I wouldn't say we make them, but we start collecting them the moment we realize that okay, fine, now the dispute is escalating, and we may need to go to court. But still, I would say that in a matrimonial dispute, nobody marries and collects proof at the same time. It's only when things get sour that we start thinking of all this. So collection of evidence, even if less, but it should be done well. maybe if something happened, if it was a physical abuse, then go and get an MLC. If it is a if the wife has just given you a gift and she's claiming that it was a dowry demand, there would be some WhatsApp chat, some telephonic conversation. Track that. So start slowly and steadily. Tell your client, explain your client the need of evidence, and tell them to start collecting them. Now let's say we are ready with the evidence also. Now we are ready for court. Now we have to understand what challenge actually got us here. The challenge that actually got us here was, of course, non-compatibility of the couple, yes, but social influence. Social influence is a huge challenge that we face. You say challenge, I can even call it a catalyst. In some instances, the couple is fine by themselves. It is the interference of the families, it is the interference of the societies that lead them there. Like, if it is a husband, the wife's family may tell him, you are not taking care of my daughter this way. Or if it is the wife, the the husband's family may interfere. It is said, right, that in the West, it is a union of two souls. In India, it is a union of two families. But I would say in reality, it is a union of more than two souls. It's a union of two families, two cultures, two backgrounds. And in Hindi, if I say, do biradriyon ka milan. So social influence is a huge challenge. And as a lawyer, when a party comes to you, the first, I would say, thing you should do is the first test of whether the party needs to go to court or you can help them out in saving the marriage is that you look at them in isolation, apart from the society, their parents, their families. And even then, if you think that they are as a couple also cannot survive without the social influence, then I would say suggest your client to go to court. Otherwise, as a lawyer, it is your duty to tell them to at least give their marriage a chance or at least find ways if the social influence can be eliminated. Now, is social influence always bad? That is also not true, right? We cannot always say that the society is the only villain in the situation. In older times, if you know, बिरादरी बैठती थी और सब प्रॉब्लम सुलझा देती. Now, in metropolitan areas, especially in working metropolitan areas like Bombay, Bangalore, Delhi, in some cases, my clients tell me I do not even want to involve my mother or my parents. So it is only those two people. They say I am not involving even my parents in it. It was my decision. I started it. I want to end it. So that I want to end it. So there, the good side of the society, which would help the couple out, is also going. That is a huge challenge. Society, the social influence, whether good or bad, both should be taken into consideration. अब ये सब तो हो गया. Now I say all this is taken into situation. Now we are going to court. Now before going to court, one thing also should be kept in mind. People do not think through before playing it dirty. When we want to go into litigation, we go all out. We say, if we are a girl, we will say he harassed me. When he demanded dowry, his parents are a problem, his family is a problem, his relatives is a problem. When when it is a boy, he'll say the woman's character is a problem. His family was always interfering. It was not my fault at all. So what we do is the girl's side will diminish the whole family's image. The boy side will assassinate the girl's character. This is a tried and tested method. It has become so, matlab, you can say when somebody says matrimonial